Hello and welcome to this deep dive session on creating SMART goals. My name is Alex and I am the Learning and Development Manager, and we're going to start by looking at goals. And I'm not talking about this type of goal. I'm actually thinking more about the goals that you can write down. So let's start by thinking about what goals even are. Goals are a series of objectives that allow us to progress in a given direction. You can almost think of them as targets that you want to hit. And on this program, but anywhere really, you want to consider what your goals are. I'd love for you to consider your goals, especially when it comes to this program, so that you can get the most out of it. Goals are very tricky to create, so we have the SMART framework, which allows us and helps us to make goals far more realistic as a target. So what is SMART? SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. We want things to be specific, so you know exactly what you're going to do. They must be measurable, so you will know when it is done. It must be achievable, so it's actually something that you can do. It also must be relevant, so it links to company or personal objectives and needs. And it's important for me to say here that some sources will quote realistic instead of relevant. To be honest, either works. Realistic will mean that the definition will be slightly different, but nonetheless, it still helps to create a great goal. We also have time-based, so this speaks to when it will be done. So let's look at what some SMART goals should look like, and we'll start off by looking at what SMART goals are not. You can have some very generic goals like I want to complete a project or I want to improve my performance. To make these a lot better, you need to follow that SMART framework, and we can start off by making them more specific. So it's actually thinking about what needs to be done here, and you can describe it at a very high level to start off with, but the more specific you can be, the better. So what will be involved? Will there be an overall beneficial outcome as a result of this goal? And what's required to even make it happen? It must be measurable, so that way you can identify what you will see, hear, feel, whatever it is, when you finally reach your goal. Most people who use numbers and percentage increases and decreases in some cases are a great way to measure things, but there could be some intangibles and some things that are far softer, such as everyone in my team can demonstrate how to do a specific skill. And in these instances, it's a very binary yes or no. To be able to measure this is important, to be able to know that all of your efforts have led to success. That's not a waste of time. They also need to be achievable, so you have to ask yourself the question, is this even possible? Do you have all the skills and resources that are required? And in some cases you'll find that you just don't have them yet. Maybe in the future this will be a viable goal, but it's worth your time weighing up the effort, the time, the cost, so that you can fight against other obligations and existing priorities, so that you can reach benefits and positive results. It must be relevant, and you want to consider why you actually want to achieve that goal. Do you even want to achieve the goal? Is it even worth your time? Who will benefit if you are to achieve the goal? And how will the results be of a benefit to both you, the team, the business, whatever it is? And probably one of the most important questions is to ask, does this solution actually fix or prevent problems? And lastly, you want it to be time-based. Have a deadline. We all know that things can go wrong. So add an extra 10% of time to each and every one of your deadlines to factor in for those unknowns, just in case something trips up and goes a bit wrong. You want to have a planning phase. You want to create a timeline of events, and most people will use milestones. It's important to use milestones so that if timelines go a little bit left, you're able to use the milestones to show what you have achieved and also allow you to course correct back on the same path that you're supposed to be on. So here's one example of a SMART goal. I want to launch our mobile app project by the end of the fiscal year, resulting in 50,000 installs and a 5% conversion rate in sales. You can see just how detail specific this goal is, and all of the writing that's in green on screen hopefully will give you an idea on how you can really see each and every one of those smart details in that description. You can go one step further and you also apply the due date and relevant milestones to the goal too. A second example. I want to increase my efficiency by learning how to use PowerPoint, so I spend less than 25% of my working week on PowerPoint slide deck creation by my end of year review. Again, very specific in what I want to achieve, and you can see there in green some of the specific tangibles that I want to be able to mark off and measure. And again, you can see the due date as well as the milestones underneath, which help me to really specify exactly where I should be at what time. When you're creating SMART goals, it takes time, it takes practice. Great objectives, like all great writing, benefits from making drafts, getting feedback, and then revising them. It's incredibly rare for people to nail this first time, and you're going to need to work hard on this over the next few months to be able to spend some time actually thinking about getting these just right. After you've created your first draft, it's a good idea to share them with a peer. And when you send it to them, you want to ask them effectively for 3 comments. No more, no less. The 3 questions that you can ask to get those comments are: what did they like about your goal? How can you improve your goal? And what questions do they have after reading your goal? If your feedback is all positive and they see your goal as incredibly clear, they like the goal, it makes good sense to them, then you've got yourself a really good SMART goal there. And remember, a great objective is written in a way that's clear for everyone to understand what that goal is, even if they have no idea what your actual job entails. It should be clear how to achieve this goal, what success looks like, and also when it will be done. So, if you have any questions for me, please send me an email via this email address on screen, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video.